The Wizard of Oz. Home Again, Chapter 24. Aunt Em had just come out of the house to water the cabbages when she looked up and saw Dorothy running toward her. "My darling child," she cried, folding the little girl in her arms and covering her face with kisses. "Where in the world did you come from?" "From the land of Oz," said Dorothy gravely. "And here is Toto, too. And oh, Aunt Em, I'm so glad to be at home again." To the readers of this book, I was one of the children for whom The Wizard of Oz was first written. It came into the world the same year I did. Now the publishers have asked me to talk to you about it here at the end of this fine new edition, published to celebrate its author's 100th birthday. I got the book when I was too young to read it to myself. My mother had to read it to me. Remembering all it meant to me, I cannot but envy you, who are now turning these pages for the first time. But there is no need of that, for I can still read The Wizard of Oz with as much enjoyment as I found in it 50 years ago. I have read it, I am sure, more often than any other book. When I grew a little older, it became the first book I ever read through at one sitting. Of late years, I have read it to all my children, not once, but many times. The Wizard of Oz opened up to me the whole wonderful, inexhaustible world of literature. It taught me that the mind of a human being can create an imagined world, comparable in its interest and beauty and vitality to this physical world that you and I inhabit. Every Christmas I had a new Oz book. I explored Baum's world endlessly. And though I did not know it at the time, he was preparing me to explore the worlds of other, greater, more difficult writers later on. Dickens and Scott and Shakespeare and Chaucer and Spencer and ever so many more. Perhaps I should never have loved any of them so well if I had not had Baum to show me the way. Yet he showed me more than that. He showed me what I wanted to do. For it was when I read The Wizard of Oz 50 years ago, when I was 6 years old, that I made up my mind that I too would be a writer of books. At the time, I thought that meant I was going to write books like the Oz books. Alas, it did not work out that way. My books turned out to be much more difficult, more learned, and much drier. Among other things, I wrote and published a very tiny little book about Baum and Oz, and this was the first serious study that had been made of them. L. Frank Baum was dead by that time. He died in 1919. Though he had written me a letter before his death, but the publishers read my book and thought well of it, and that is why I'm writing in these pages now. Here, then, for the first time, my words are printed and bound between the same pair of covers which encase the masterpiece of the man who first gave me the idea of becoming a writer. All this makes me very happy and very proud. I hope that you will love The Wizard of Oz as I loved it when I was a child, and that you will learn to use it as well as I think I did. I don't mean that I wanted to make a writer of you, for your interests may lie in an entirely different direction. But whatever you do, I hope it will teach you to value and to employ wisely the imagination that God gave you. For for this is absolutely indispensable if you would live a complete, happy life. The imagination is at the root of all real achievement, in science as much as in poetry. If you are a girl, I hope you will always be as sweet and as brave as Dorothy. And if you are a boy, I hope you will pursue wisdom as ardently as the Scarecrow did, and be as kind as the Tin Woodman himself. All these people, and the Cowardly Lion too, when they wanted something, they went out after it, and in the end they found it. And the wizard himself learned that though you may fool people for a long time, in the end you get found out. If you decide the wizard is not as likable as some of the others in this book, I suggest you read the rest of the Oz books. You will find that he improved very much. Edward Wagenknecht, Boston University, September 6th, 1956. And this concludes the series of The Wizard of Oz.